Hi there, it's Sherry Schreiber of GettingBetter.com, and we're going to speak a little bit more to narcissism today. How to grow a narcissist. It's really very simple, actually, um, and a lot of people do it unwittingly with their children. And typically, when we overgive to our children, we want to make sure that we never disappoint them or let them down or cause them any discomfort of any type. And we overgive to our children. This can create narcissism in the child, which then turns into adult narcissism. And it happens very easily. It usually it stems from our inclination as parents to do this with children. It stems from our own deficits in childhood, never being able to get enough parental attention and affection and guidance and nurturance and positive mirroring. So we want to bestow our children with the things that we didn't get. We want to bestow upon them all those wonderful gifts that we were never given as children. Sometimes we overcorrect. Sometimes we overcompensate. We're thinking our way through life, not feeling our way through and sensing what is the right thing to do for this child, or what even are their needs. Because we can't pick up on that because we've divorced ourselves from our own needs. So this can be a dangerous thing. You won't find anybody else ever talking about this with you. You won't read anything about this on the internet or in books. I guarantee it. This is from the mind and soul of Sherry Schreiber. These are my theories, my concepts. Just like I've spoken to you about borderline personality disorder, what causes a borderline, what it is and what it isn't. I'm talking to you about narcissism today, how it gets implanted in us as children. Now, there's one element of it which I speak to quite a lot in my article online at gettingbetter.com called Do You Love to Be Needed or Need to Be Loved? The way that fixers, caregivers, rescuers, saviors are cultivated in childhood when nobody's responsive to their needs or feelings. Those children grow up compensating for that and deriving vicarious satisfaction for themselves by giving to others what they cannot receive, what they can't ever get. So that's one level of narcissism. The narcissist has to be in control of his or her relationships, all of them. So if you're always in the giving seat in a relationship, you're in the driver's seat. You're in control of that relationship. That other person needs you. And this, of course, fosters codependency and pathological caregiving reflexes. So that's just one layer of this lasagna. When you're a parent, single parent, coupled parent, whatever, and you didn't get enough nurturance supplies in your child to grow up confident, healthy, strong, empowered, self-respecting, feeling lovable and good enough. If you didn't get enough of those supplies from your parental units, particularly mommy, you will want to shower your child with all of that. Either that or you don't. And then your kid grows up a lot the way you did and is having to grapple with a lot of deficits. But if you overcompensate, if you overcorrect, and you want to give your child everything you didn't get in terms of nurture and attention and affection and positive mirroring, you might tell that child repeatedly, quite often, You're special. You're so special. You're a special child. Well, folks, I hate to tell you this, that kid doesn't know what the fuck he's being told or she's being told they're special for. It's completely confusing to a small child. Now, if you say something to the child to mirror their talent or ability, or perhaps a task they did well, wow, you really have special talent as an artist. If they bring you a drawing that they made at school, wow, you have a special ear for music. Let's cultivate that talent in you. That's a different story. But if you're always just laying on the your specials to a kid, well, they're going to grow up narcissistic. They're not going to know why they're special. They have no idea why they're special. They feel kind of like a fraud when they're an adult because they've been told their whole life that they're special, but they have no concept of what that specialness is attached to. You're raising a narcissist. You're raising somebody, especially if you come across as having no needs of your own as an adult. And your world revolves around your child because that's what you think you're supposed to do as a parent. That child never gets to develop empathy. That child never grows into a sense that, oh, other humans are in the space with me. Other humans have needs too. If you answer your phone every time your child calls, interrupt a call, even in a business meeting to take your child's call, that sends the message to the kid. You are the center of my world. I don't have a life outside of you. I will always be immediately responsive to your needs. And what happens to that child as they grow into adulthood? Do they have any frame of reference for delayed gratification? What if I call my mother or my father and they always answer the phone, even if it's to interrupt another call, to take my call? Won't they have that expectation of just about everybody in their life as they grow into adulthood? And what happens with a child like that who grows into an adult and their boyfriend or girlfriend, whoever they're dating, or maybe a platonic friendship, doesn't respond immediately to their text or their phone call? What happens to that relationship? Based on what you've programmed them for in terms of what to expect from everybody in their universe. You're raising a narcissist. Sorry. The world does not revolve around your child, and you cannot convey to that child of yours that it does without implanting narcissism. You can't. You as a human being have needs too. Let's say you promise your kids you're going to take them to Disneyland on the weekend, and you're starting to come down with something. You feel like you're just really, really fatigued. This happens to me when I'm fighting off a virus. If I don't listen to that and go to bed and sleep, I'm going to get sick. But you're feeling really worn out. You've worked hard all week. You've slain your dragons. You've put out your fires at the office. And you're just really tired on the weekend, or you're feeling like maybe you're coming down with a virus. Your throat's starting to get a little scratchy or whatever. You going to keep that promise to your kids? Because you're one of these people who believes that when they make a promise, by hook or by crook, they're going to keep it no matter what condition they're in? That's just stupid. Promises are broken all the time. We might have felt totally able to take our kids to Disneyland and or some other adventure during our off days from work. But now we don't feel quite up to it. Isn't it important for you to be able to say to your child or children, You know what? I know I promised you this, and I'm so sorry. But I'm not feeling well, and I feel like I have to go to bed. And and I know this must feel so disappointing to you, but I'm going to make it up to you as soon as I'm feeling a little better and feel more rested. What's wrong with that? Your child has to grow up knowing that you are a human being, not just an endless supply of trips and gifts and gestures for them. They've got to know that you're a human being that has human needs. But if you've grown up putting those needs aside in favor of taking care of everybody else's, you are very likely going to be raising a narcissist or two or three. Because everybody else's needs always take precedence over yours. So the child grows up with this understanding that his immediate or her immediate world revolves around them, that their needs or their wishes or their wants are instantly gratified, and guess who they become as adults? World owes me a living. I'm special after all. Okay. Again, this comes from the fact that you did not receive what you needed as an infant and throughout your own childhood. You've wanted to overcorrect for that. Overcorrection's not such a good thing. However it is we overcorrect. If your parents were defective, impaired, personality disordered, you might have grown up thinking you had to be perfect, perfectly adept at everything, perfectly wonderful and kind and giving and generous and thoughtful. And you've done that sometimes to the neglect of your own family. You'll drop everything to respond to a neighbor's need. Even if the people at home in your house aren't getting what they need. How to raise a narcissist. This is the tip of the iceberg, my dears. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I could go on and on about this all day long, but I'm wanting to keep this video concise and to the point and salient. All you parents out there that think you're doing your child a favor by rescuing them every time they fall, by bailing them out financially when they get themselves painted into a corner and need your help, you're crippling that child. And furthermore, it sounds like you're enmeshed with them. You don't have healthy boundaries. You don't know where you end and they begin. You're not able to employ any sense of tough love and let them see if they can fly on their own one day. You are crippling that child. I've seen friends of mine do this with their grown children. Their children are in their 40s and they're still running to mama when they get themselves in a financial bind because they never learned how to manage their money from mother. Mommy's always there to bail them out. And here's the tragic thing. Oh, I got it. Here's the tragic thing about that. When you do this to a child and you become, in their mind, this never-ending source of financial support, when you die, they're going to resent the hell out of you. They're going to resent you and hate you. Why? Because whatever estate you leave them, whatever monies are there left over from your lifetime for them, they're going to run through pretty quickly. And then they're going to be ill-equipped to live life on its terms without you bailing them out every 5 minutes. And they're going to hate you for that. They're going to be fearful in their world. They're not going to know how to make a buck. So don't think you're doing your kids any favors. Love them, yes. Be supportive of them, yes. Listen to them, yes. Be empathically attuned to them, yes. But don't overindulge them and give them everything that you didn't get as a kid, because you're raising narcissists. And that's all for now. You'll probably hate me for this video, some of you. Some of you will go, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong all these years. And you'll start to correct that shit. It's okay. I'm not invested in whether you like me or you don't like me. I'm only invested in giving you the truth from a sage, old, wise woman who's lived long enough to have figured this stuff out. So you can accept it or reject it, like I say in some of my other videos. But stop building narcissists. One of the very few things, and I think there's only 2 or 3 things that I may have learned in my schooling when I returned to academia at 41, is that ideally, if all goes well in our childhood and there aren't a multitude of crises that derail our emotional development, we learn empathy between the ages of 9 to 12. We learn to sit in somebody else's shoes. We learn to see things through their perspective between the ages of 9 to 12. Now, I don't know if this is true. I mean, schooling tried to cram a lot of shit down my throat, and most of it I rejected because I already knew what I knew by the time I returned to school. And that's what you're benefiting from today. Pardon me. In my online articles and in my videos, you're benefiting from a lifetime of wisdom gained through the intense desire to learn and grow and heal. Schooling didn't teach me a damn thing. my BA degree, my master's degree, what a waste of time and money and energy. Jeez. If I had to do all over again, I'd buy a DSM-4 or 5. Read lots of self-help books as a young woman. Took what felt salient and real to me and logical and discarded the rest. I want you to do that with my materials too. Don't swallow everything I write about hook, line, and sinker. If it makes sense to you, absorb it, integrate it. If it doesn't, pass on it. I read a plethora of self-help books as a young woman. Jeez. Give a bunch of them away, including textbooks that I bought and never read in school. It's this ADD thing, you know. I got to a point where I knew I wasn't going to read the damn textbooks because I don't have that kind of focus. And I just stopped buying the textbooks. I just sit down the night before my papers were due and start writing and pray that they'd turn out well. Those papers, those final papers. But I think I knew everything just about there was to know about human nature and human pain by the time I returned to school at 41. I really did. School didn't teach me anything. But this idea that we learn empathy between the ages of 9 to 12, that kind of stuck. And somebody said, in one of my instructors, that a nicotine addiction, a cigarette nicotine addiction, was one of the hardest addictions to beat. Bar none. So, that made sense to me. It sounded right to me. Smoking is so ritualized after all. But school didn't teach me much at all. I had a student discount card. I got into movies cheaper. Used to go to a lot of movies in the theater in those days. Schooling didn't teach me about bipolar disorder, which I write about on my site. Schooling didn't teach me about attention deficit disorder, which I write about on my site and that I live with to some extent. Schooling didn't teach me about borderline personality disorder, which I write extensively about on my website. Schooling didn't teach me about codependency, which I write quite extensively about in my article, Do You Love to Be Needed or Need to Be Loved?, which is hopefully soon to be coming out in publication as a book, an expanded version of that article. Schooling didn't teach me about codependency. School didn't teach me about people-pleasing, fixing, rescuing behaviors under the banner of codependency and compensating for a poor sense of self-worth. If I can just take good enough care of you, I can feel good about me. None of these topics were covered in my undergraduate or graduate studies. It's surprising, really. How do you prepare people for psychotherapeutic work in the field of psychology if you teach them nothing that they can apply to life? Mystifying. But I digress. Don't raise narcissists. Give your children an opportunity to experience delayed gratification. Let them in on what you're feeling, what your needs are occasionally. I've always been a child advocate. I advocate for children and their well-being and for parents to be consistently loving and nurturing to their children. But that doesn't mean throwing yourself under the bus 24/7 to accommodate their wants and needs. It means that now and then you have to take care of you and apologize to your kid that they're going to have to grapple with a little delayed gratification and disappointment for a day or two until you recharge your batteries and get back on track. That's what that means. How else will they ever grow up to have a sense that there are other people besides them on the planet and that other people have needs and wants too? Bye for now.